Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are going to dive into a topic that is the heart of every successful software venture.
Heart and soul in every line of code.
Way of writing code that is not only functional but also fast and efficient. As developers, we often find ourselves working on tight schedules, delivering features quickly and ensuring that our application runs smoothly. In the fast-paced world of startups where innovation is the key, writing efficient code becomes a strategic advantage. In this video, we'll explore the techniques that help you to craft code that not only meets your startup's current needs but also scalable and maintainable for the future.
I got skills.
Point number one, plan before you code. Whenever you start the code, understand the problem and requirements.
I don't understand.
I don't understand either.
When a problem is large, break down a problem into smaller and manageable tasks. Outline the steps and then start to code. For example, let us take a simple problem to find the average of a list of numbers. Let's define a function average of numbers. It takes a list as input. Loop through the list, adding each number to the running total. Then divide the total by the list length. This is for a simple problem, but if the problem is huge, for a complex problem, we need to outline the function signature, how to initialize the variables, what type of calculation to do, etc.
We have technology.
Point number two, use efficient algorithms and data structures. Always try to choose algorithms with lower time and complexity depending on your problem. We need to choose which data structure will fit the problem well. For example, consider a problem for finding the minimum value in a list. There are various ways to do this. For example, consider bubble sort, which repeatedly compares pairs and swaps. Another one is heap sort, build a priority queue and extract the minimum one. And the data structure for which we can use could be an array and not a linked list.
You get to decide.
A bit of knowledge and practice in these algorithms may help you what to pick.
Practice for progress, not perfection.
Point number three, optimize for readability and maintainability. Write clean, well-formatted code with meaningful names and comments. Follow consistent style guidelines. Structure code with modular functions and classes. For example, consider a function to calculate the area of a rectangle. Look at this function. Assume A and B are declared somewhere. This is unreadable. Look at this function where the variable names length and width are maintainable and readable. It's always better to write these type of functions because even if some other developer looks into your code, he might understand it. Point number four, use built-in functions and libraries. Always take advantage of existing optimized code for common tasks. If you're working on an existing project, there might be some functions which are already written. You might use that instead of reinventing the wheel again and again. For example, if you're working on a Node.js project, there are high chances if you're working on some functionality, there would be an existing npm package available. You can just import it and use it instead of you writing the entire code. Let me give an example to use built-in functions. For example, consider you need to check whether a number is even or not. An inefficient way could be writing a custom modulo function. An efficient way could be using the modulo operator so that you get the desired output. For complex operations, that could be some built-in packages. For example, you need to store all the application logs and files. There could be some existing npm packages like Winston, Morgan, etc. Or you need to convert an HTML PDF. There would be an existing npm package. Or you need to pass a JSON. There would be a package to pass JSON. So it's not necessary you need to write all the code from the starting. You can use the existing packages so that your application building also becomes easier. Point number five, avoid unnecessary computations and operations. Whenever you're building a large application which needs to be highly scalable or fast, you can try some methods like identifying redundant calculations and removing them, minimize function calls and loops when possible. For example, if you're given a problem to calculate the sum of squares of numbers in a list, you can square each number individually in the loop, but this seems to be inefficient. One efficient way could be to pre-calculate each number squares individually outside the loop and then use them in the sum. If you enjoy watching the video, make sure to hit the like button to show your support. Point number six, minimize memory usage. Be mindful of memory allocation and deallocation. What would be the CPU or memory if more users start using the system or if too much requests come into the system? What type of data type use? Should we use int or long int, or how much does the variable hold? Those type of calculations. Reduce unused memory as soon as possible. So what do I mean by that? For example, consider you have a very large file and you need to process it. You can either process the large file line by line instead of entirely loading into the memory. This could be one of the efficient way to handle it, but that's an inefficient way, which is actually reading the whole file at once, which consumes unnecessary memory. Next one is utilizing the caching techniques. Use frequently accessed data in the cache for faster retrieve. This is not always suitable for live data, but if you have expensive database queries or API calls, it's better to cache them to avoid repeated execution. Redis and some other tools are very useful for caching mechanisms. Next could be profile your code to identify bottlenecks. Profiling tools actually help you to identify performance issues and measure execution time. Memory leaks and inefficiencies in your code can be found by them. There are various profiling tools for every programming language. Remember to choose a best profiler for your programming language and specific needs. Profiling tools are crucial for optimizing code and make sure your code runs efficiently. Practice regularly to improve your typing speed and coding knowledge. Increased familiarity with language syntax and common patterns leads to faster coding. You can do that by regularly solving coding challenges and practicing different coding styles. Typing speed is also something which which needs to be gradually improved if you need to code very faster. Learn keyboard shortcuts and code snippets. You can use IDE codes for auto completion and snippets for common code fragments. Similar to Ctrl C and Ctrl V, there are some other shortcuts which should really help you to do your tasks faster. Point number 11, use a good code editor or IDE. A good code editor will help us benefit from features like code snippets, syntax highlighting, and debugging tools. I personally use VS Code as my code editor and it is awesome. It has many features like syntax highlighting, debugging tools, code navigation features, and much more. Point number 12, test your code thoroughly. Apart from doing basic unit testing, it's necessary to ensure to test your code thoroughly. It is necessary to pre-catch the errors and ensure correctness. It's better to use automation testing tools or write unit tests for individual functions or integration tests for overall program flow. Next point, use version control. Using version control systems like Git can help you to track changes, experiment with different approaches, and revert if needed. Also, it's a good practice to use a separate branch for the feature which you develop and then merge it to the main branch after you have done unit testing, etc. Point number 14, learn from others. There are lots and lots of things to learn related to coding, development, building scalable applications, etc. So it's not possible to learn everything by yourself. You can learn from studying others' well-written code, participate in online communities, and also collaborating with your peers. Best example which I can give is read open source projects, participate in online coding forums, and attend workshops. Finally, continuously learn and improve. As developers, it's necessary to stay updated with new techniques, best practices, and language features.
We have technology.
Whenever a language evolves, new libraries and best practices also evolve. As developers, it's necessary to learn those and stay updated libraries and best practices. Remember, these are just examples and the best approach will purely depend on the specific type of problem you're trying to solve. Always strive to find the most efficient and sustainable solution that meets your needs. If you have any coding tip, make sure to comment below and subscribe to my channel for more such content.